Hi, this is Amy Christensen, and today I'm going to be doing my presentation on the TIP report. First, I'm going to go over the overview. I'm going to talk about the conditions of my report, the findings, and also recommendations based upon the findings. For my conditions, the first one is the purpose, and I really wanted to look at the settings that special ed teachers work in, the different schools, and what that is like. And then also job satisfaction. I've read a lot that there's a high turnover rate for special ed teachers, especially in the first 5 years, and I really wanted to know more about that. What are those circumstances, and what could possibly be done to make that better? For participants, I interviewed 3 people. The first one was Lee Starr from the Orono High School. She's an LD instructor. The second is Nancy Rubar from the Creek Valley Elementary School in Edina. And then Sean Packenham is from the Intermediate 287 district. Specifically, he works in the Options Middle program for EBD students. And in my findings, I have 2 categories. First is the work setting. In the elementary school, Nancy is really the only caseworker, so she's the only one. She has over 40 students that she works with. She works in the resource room and also instructs children in the classroom. She works with 4 paraprofessionals. She used to work with 7, so they've made a lot of cuts within the district. With the general education teachers, she works daily with them and very collaboratively with them, so she thinks it's a very positive process. And she really stressed that in the elementary setting, you get to stay connected with the student and the families for longer periods of time, sometimes up to 5 years, and building that relationship with the family and the students adds quality to her instruction. In the high school, Lee works in the resource room and consults with general or mainstream teachers. She does not have any paraprofessionals helping her at all, and she has a significant caseload. Both of those are due to budget concerns within Orono. She believes that the mainstream teachers are really not always open to working with her students and really has to negotiate and educate and work with them to warm up to the idea. In the intermediate school, the students are usually transitioning from a more or less restrictive setting because of their behaviors and are coming to a specialized school. Sean is a new EBD student or teacher. His first year, he said, was very difficult. The second year, he's having a lot more fun, which is good to hear. He really believes his classroom is in many ways less restrictive than a typical school because the standards aren't held as tightly within these schools because traditionally the students have not scored very high on the standards, so it's not a huge focus. The focus is on the behaviors and on content and learning. And in many ways it's more restrictive because in any day you could be hit physically or verbally assaulted. A child may have to be restrained, or you may have to work with the police. So you have to create an atmosphere that reduces harm for everyone in the school. He did say that there's daily documentation that is critical, especially if there's an incident, say you had to restrain a student. You really have to document that very detailed and remain very objective. He works with a team of professionals within his own classroom and paraprofessionals, and he feels that it's a very collaborative process, great teamwork with a very common goal of helping the students and working with the students. The second category in my findings is the job conditions. Everybody mentioned the students, which is good. They all said it's the best part of their job, which is really great to hear, that they thought it was a little cliche, but they really did feel like they made a difference and an impact on the students' lives. They really felt that the students were a joy to work with, and Sean said that he felt honored to work with the students, and I think that's very nice. They're very proud to see them move on after graduation. Lee specifically mentioned this because in the high school setting, you really do get to see them graduate and see what post-secondary or post-secondary programs they're going into, college or technical or other things. She felt that was a great, and she didn't have that in other settings. Sean mentioned this, and I think they would all agree, though. You really are an advocate for students that don't always have one. You're someone that's on their side, and they're not always the most popular kid in the school because of their behaviors, their disabilities, and they really do need someone that's on their side and is an advocate for them. Workload and the paperwork you hear a lot about. It's a big fear factor within special ed. And what I've learned that is it's not just the IEP process, but it's also instruction preparation, it's data collection, it's documentation, it's communicating with parents and teachers. That's all included under this paperwork fear. They all stated it was overwhelming and never-ending. They all said it really did vary in intensity and volume throughout the school year, though. So there could be two weeks where it's really intense, and then the rest of the semester pretty manageable. They all stated it's never done at the end of the day. Don't think it will be done. What might be done is your list of priorities that you wanted to get done for that day, but it all won't be done. And then there was a general tone of acceptance. Just accept that paperwork is a part of being a special education professional. A lot of it is deals with legal documents, and with legal documents, there's a lot of paperwork. That's a reality, and you do have to accept that. They also talked about stress and attitude quite a bit. That stress is a big part of the job, and sometimes you can have a bad day, sometimes the students have a bad day. There's also some political elements, then there's all of the things that are involved in having any position. You have to manage your stress, however, to be effective, and they all mentioned that maintaining a healthy lifestyle was a big part of reducing their stress. Exercising, eating well, and 2 of the instructors even said that yoga was very important to them and reduced their stress quite a bit. So I'm going to start yoga right away, ASAP. Nancy, in giving advice to a new teacher, said you need to be persistent, or passionate and persistent. You need to have a passion for the job, and you need to be persistent. The first year is not going to go that great. It's going to be difficult because it's new. But if you have a passion for it, you keep going. Don't give up. And then Sean mentioned that you have to remain positive, that it's very easy in certain settings to be negative. It's kind of an easy way out to be negative. But it's a skill to be positive. When he is positive and he feels better, his students feel better, and he works better with his team. And he really said it was a skill that he works on daily. For support, it really varied at each setting. Some had paraprofessionals, but like Lee didn't have any paraprofessionals. The paraprofessionals, this special ed teacher is responsible for much of their training, especially in their first year. And then it's really a collaborative process. It's not really hierarchical. And while they're not a direct report of yours as a special ed teacher, you are responsible for their daily duties and some training. And the general education teachers, that really varied from setting to setting. In the elementary setting, it was very collaborative and very welcomed. In the high school and junior high, it seemed like there was far more resistance. The administration, they all said that the administration, they felt valued, that they felt understood what they do, understood the requirements, understood the support that they need, and the administration also has a lot of budgetary restrictions. For recommendations, I have recommendations based upon my findings of 2 areas, the student and the teacher. For the school, the main one that I'd like to focus on is the mentoring program, a mentoring program for new teachers for your first and your second year. Partnering up with someone who's experienced, a special ed teacher who's experienced, either from the district or maybe a university that we graduated from. But somebody that you could talk to, that you could share ideas with. You could ask questions or clear up any confusion. You could talk about any fears or concerns that you might have, even just venting or maybe even receiving praise. A peer that you could really share with, someone safe. Because oftentimes in your own work setting, you don't really feel that safe to do all of that type of communication. I think it's very important. It would really be helpful in reducing the turnover rate. And I think they're proven to be very effective and would be very helpful in the special education career. At the teacher level, really choose the right setting. It sounds like a luxury because we all have to get jobs, but choose the right setting. Look at the pros and the cons of each school. They all have them. They all have cost and benefits. Like the intermediate schools seem a little intimidating, but they have a lot of positives as well. And the elementary schools seem like that's where you want to be, but you have a huge caseload. You have a lot of students. And then, this is just good advice for anybody, is keep a positive attitude and maintain a healthy lifestyle. Exercise, eat right, and be positive, and work on being positive, that it is a skill set. And this is my favorite quote, "Failure is Impossible" by Susan B. Anthony. And I really think If you focus and you make it a priority, you set your own goals, and failure is impossible. If I want to be a successful special education teacher, I will be, and failure is impossible. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Thank you.